Orsinium, homeland of the Orcs. Sacked in the beginning of the Fourth Era with the chaos after the Oblivion Crisis, although the city was rebuilt, their culture had a rift in it. Those who worship Malakath and those who believe that Malakath is a traitor and that Trinimac still lives. Believing that strength is power and power is righteousness, this follower of Malakath got himself exiled from Orsinium. The Orsinium Outrider begins the game with a full set of War Chief's armor. He deals with combat in a straightforward manner using melee attacks with his two-handed weapon. Although he will begin the game with an Orcish spear, he will replace that spear with the legendary Warhammer of Malakath. This hammer has the ability to knock away almost any enemy with the exception of dragons. After defeating an enemy but prior to killing them, you can open up a dialogue window with them and either rob them or, if they're a bandit, recruit them. Robbing a submitting enemy allows you to take items from their inventory freely. He will go into battle against bandits and enemies of that sort in order to get them to low health and then force them to submit. When a bandit he defeats is recruitable, the option will say, "Follow me and do as I say." You can only have one follower forced like that. After that, you can dismiss them and then say, "Let's form a group," and they will be put into a group of up to 5 people. In this way, he can set up his own Bandit Faction. By default, bandits are hostile to him, however he can recruit them and then dismiss them, having them stay in one place. Thus he can create bandit camps which are under his control. That said, however, what makes the Orsinium Outrider the Outrider is his ability to whistle. When he whistles, his horse will come to his assistance, and he will ride that horse into mounted combat. When sprinting on his horse will automatically execute a trample, which will knock down enemies that are struck by it. And although mounted combat is the preferred method of combat, if for any reason you enter a terrain or situation where that is not ideal, you have a quick hotkey you can press to immediately dismount with a leap, which will automatically draw your weapon. Because mounted combat is so important, your followers will have horses of their own and will fight in mounted combat with you. Finally, using Hearthfire mechanics, you will be able to craft your own Orcish stronghold. All of the containers inside are protected storage, and crafting is accessible here. The Orsinium Outrider, simply put, is an evil man. He wants nothing to do with the societies of man or Mer, and would rather live the way Malakath intended him to fight until the day he dies. He will travel the land looting and killing all of those who oppose him, and the only town that will be relatively safe from his wrath will be Whiterun Hold. Because he is a warrior and not an herbalist or miner or alchemist, he will take the spoils of victory, sell them in Whiterun, and then use that money to buy the supplies he needs. And while he shows mercy to the people of Whiterun because he uses them as a trade hub, the rest of Skyrim will see no such mercy. No mercy to the Stormcloaks, no mercy to the Imperials. In the beginning, he will try his hardest to aid his fellow Orcish tribes until he realizes they are far beneath him and that he needs to form his own tribe, and that is when he will build his own Orcish stronghold. Eventually, he will travel to Helgen and witness the destruction that had been wrought there, and when dragons start attacking, he will kill them without mercy. He will discover his destiny as the Dragonborn, but that does not mean he will show mercy to the other holds of Skyrim. Indeed, he will abuse his Dragonborn powers for his own gain, and he will conquer even the dragons. Now, for those of you wondering which guilds he will join, the answer is none. Literally, he will do the main quest, and he might go as far as to do the companions' quests, but that's a stretch because he's a bandit. He has no purpose in doing tasks for other people. The College of Winterhold is out, the Dawn Guard is out. All of these quests flat out do not apply. In the past, orcs were treated like monsters. peoples to be exterminated. And although for a brief time during the Second Era they were treated as equals in the Daggerfall Coven, this was quickly forgotten in the Third Era, and orcs were again hunted, left to eke out a living in dungeons and other places that normal people would not tread. Gortrog changed that. The strongest of the orcish warlords, Gortrog brought the people to Orsinium, a tiny area near Wayrest. There he rebuilt the great nation that had been sacked in the Second Era. And although his dream of seeing Orsinium as its own province never really came true, his claim to orcish equality could never be disputed again. Orcs were no longer hunted as monsters, but rather seen as equal peoples under the Empire. In order to better civilize his people, Gortrog founded the cult of Trinimac. It was his belief and the belief of the people that followed him that Malakath was not their true god, but rather Trinimac had been alive the whole time, and Malakath was a deceiver, trying to lead them down the path of ruin. And a majority of those who lived in Orsinium believed him, and so the cult of Trinimac flourished. Those who rejected his ideals and stayed true to Malakath were expelled from Orsinium, ending up in orcish strongholds all across Tamriel. The Orsinium Outrider had been raised to follow Trinimac, not Malakath. As his skill set suggests, he was a member of Orsinium's cavalry, one of only a handful of bands of mounted infantry in the entire nation. And although Orsinium bolstered its fighting forces in the wake of the Oblivion Crisis, the Breton kingdoms that once traded with Orsinium now refused to do so. This put extreme strain on the nation. This, coupled with the refugees who wanted to return home in the wake of the Great War, filled Orsinium with people who worshipped both Trinimac and Malakath. A combination of issues that brew civil discontent. And when the Great War found its way to High Rock and Hammerfell, Orsinium was sacked once again. And as the Outrider lay there bleeding to death, things like taking a wife, having children, thoughts that he had never had before, rolled through his head as a lifetime of regret washed over him. And the only word on his lips was pathetic. But it wasn't his word, for in a near-death experience he saw not Trinimac, but Malakath. Malakath taunted him for his weakness, and said that a true orc would stand up. And so he did, and in a blood rage he grabbed his spear and slew the enemy that had wounded him. It took some time for his people to recover, and they forged a new Orsinium further to the east. However, once again, religion became a problem, as the argument between Trinimac and Malakath was an ever-present one. And so, in a disagreement at the local tavern, the Outrider killed a man in cold blood. When asked why, he stated proudly that the man was an embarrassment to Malakath. For this, he was expelled from Orsinium. The Outrider would travel east and find his way to the Orcish stronghold in the Reach. The first mod I'll be using, and I recommend to anyone playing an orc ever, is Imperious, the Races of Skyrim. This will give your orc a Blood Rage ability that will randomly trigger whenever your Blood Rage is not on its cooldown. What that means is that if you don't hit your Blood Rage, it might just go off randomly. Keep in mind that random Blood Rage will not trigger the cooldown, meaning after that random Blood Rage has gone away, you can then use another Blood Rage actively. However, while the Blood Rage cooldown is on, it will not randomly trigger. So you have to think and be strategic about using your Blood Rages, or they just might go off randomly, being that you are an orc. The next mod we'll be using is Convenient Horses. This is how the Outrider is the Outrider. It improves mounted combat, it allows you to whistle to summon your horse, it allows your followers to use horses, and so on and so forth. Orc Hearthfires simply extends the Hearthfire DLC to Skyrim to orcs, giving them a stronghold in this location that you will be able to build using Hearthfire mechanics, as I said, in the Whiterun Hold. Whiterun being over here, and the stronghold being over here. This also puts you into great striking distance from Morthal. The next mod we'll be using is Lock Overhaul, and the reason is because in the mod configuration menu we can enable bashing, and lock bashing is what this character uses. He is not a thief. He will not join the Thieves Guild, meaning that if he wants to open a chest, he's going to use his two-handed weapon and break that chest open. Next up, straight from the workshop, we are playing the play as a bandit mod. This mod will allow you to rob people, and also this mod will allow you to kidnap people and ransom them for coins later. In addition, you will be able to force bandits to join your party, follow me and do as I say, and also you will actually be able to treat them as general followers, including marry them. Your ultimate goal is to have an army of bandits at your disposal. Next, the Utter Uniques upgrade will improve the quality of Malakath's hammer from the Malakath quest known as the Cursed Tribe. You will want to do this quest ASAP. Next up, we got immersive armors. This will get you the War Chief's armor that you need. Likewise, immersive weapons is going to start you off with the Orcish spear you have at the beginning of the game. Finally, the last piece of gear you're going to want is Winter is Coming cloaks, because when you get a cloak off of a bandit or a guard or whatever, it just fits with your War Chief's armor. Now, in order to have these items straight away, we're going to be using the Add Item menu. Now into the optional mods. I recommend Winter Mist, the Enchantments of Skyrim, because you'll find all sorts of interesting enchantments, including one that helps your mounted combat. In addition, Aurora, the Standing Stones of Skyrim, will completely change the way Standing Stones work. I recommend that you start off with the Thief Stone, which will allow you to do quadruple damage against targets at low health, but that you move to the Lord Stone so that you can use a special ability known as Kneel or Be Knelt, where you can slam the ground and knock everyone down. Note that this Lord Stone does not reduce the damage you take or increase your armor in any way, shape, or form. Now, this build does not rely on any perk overhauls whatsoever. However, I do recommend using Ordinator, the Perks of Skyrim. It's what I used, and I felt, personally, quite overpowered toward the end of my playthrough. The final optional mod I recommend is all NPCs respawn. The reason is because you will be traveling with a pack of bandits. You will be killing people. You will have a super high bounty in every hold except Whiterun. In short, people will be pissed. People will die. You may lose opportunities as a result of their deaths, but it's okay because about 20 game days later, assuming you don't visit that specific area within that time, they will respawn. This does not affect characters on the main quest, so if you kill someone who is very specific to the main quest, they will not respawn at all. But this allows you to prevent Skyrim from being completely depopulated by your bandit raids. Now, if you feel that it's unimmersive that the people you kill keep coming back to life, go ahead and pick up Jackson's Renamer. It will bind to the backspace key of your keyboard the ability to rename people. So you can literally go up to a person you just killed 20 days ago and give them a new name and roleplay that they're a new person to kill over again. Let's face it, we got immigrants, we got people who were away in other provinces coming back home, we got people who are discharged from the military, all kinds of reasons why other people would take their places. But this allows you to be a roving bandit and still maintain a little bit of your role-playing. We'll be starting this character using alternate start live another life. The Orsinium Outrider is an orc, and you will use the racial start, I live in an orcish stronghold. You will start off in the orcish stronghold, very close to Markarth. Although you will start off with a standard set of orcish armor, we'll be upgrading that to your iconic War Chief armor in a moment. Go to Magic, select Add Item menu. Using the Add Item menu, go ahead and select Immersive Weapons, and the weapon you'll be using is the Orcish Crippler Spear to begin with. You will only replace this spear when you get the hammer from the Cursed Tribe quest later on. Next, select Hoth Trooper 44 Armor Compilation under Part 1. Take all the War Chief's armor except for the War Chief's Battle Crown. Instead, you'll be using the heavy headdress. Equipped now with the War Chief's armor, you are a proper looking bandit lord. Next, go to the mod configuration menu for convenient horses. I recommend binding all the appropriate keys here to whatever you want. Under horse protection, I recommend setting your horse as essential because it is an essential part of your character and having it die would cause issues. Under followers, select followers horses so that your followers will be able to call and use horses. Go ahead and select Horse Whistle Quest Override. This will give you the Horse Whistle ability straight off the bat. Now you will have to journey out into Skyrim and steal your first horse. It won't be a very big issue, and you are well geared until you reach that point. However, before you start journeying, one last thing you should do is select Lock Overhaul. Then go to General, and activate Lock Overhaul. This will require you to close the menu. Upon closing the menu, wait for about 6 seconds before reopening the menu. Going to Mod Configuration and selecting Lock Overhaul again, you will have several options now. Go ahead and select Smash Locks, activate Smash Locks, and it will show you the skills required to smash each type of lock, and only two-handed weapons can smash them. So at 1 skill, you can smash Novice Locks, and as your two-handed weapon skill goes up, you'll be able to smash higher and higher level locks. Go ahead and select General and allow increasing skill. Thus, by smashing open locks, you will be able to increase your two-handed weapon skill. Now, if you'd like it to be considered a crime to smash open a lock, you can go ahead and use this Enable Crime option, but this is entirely up to you. At this point, you are basically ready to go. In terms of leveling up, I recommend putting 80% of your points into health and 20% into stamina. As for your perk points, I highly recommend putting them into your two-handed weaponry. Alternatively, putting your points into either heavy armor or block. You will definitely be blocking using your two-handed weapon quite a bit. As your character aspires to be a celebrated war leader, you should be getting Speech Mastery or the equivalent Intimidation perks. You will notice the screen going randomly red like this. This means that your Berserker's Rage has kicked in, and you will deal increased damage during that time. He should do his best to avoid getting any bounties in Whiterun Hold. However, if he does acquire one, he should pay it off immediately, as Whiterun is a sanctuary and a trade hub where he wants to keep a good relationship with. Once you knock down an enemy, you can speak to them, and you can say, "Follow me and do as I say," at which point they will become your loyal follower. They will fight for you and attack your enemies. Now, some enemies will refuse to help you no matter what, and they have to be killed. But this character is a permanent follower. What you can do then is you can talk to them, tell them it's time to part ways, then speak to them again and say, "Let's form a group." Now you have space to recruit another person. That other bandit couldn't be recruited because we had her as our follower. Now she's a group member and not our follower, because you can only have one follower through this system, but you can have up to 5 group members. Even bosses such as this one can be converted. Follow me and do as I say. And so this unique named bandit is now my follower. What we can do now is we can tell him it's time to part ways, then we'll pick him up again, and this time tell him let's form a group. Some enemies like this one won't be able to be converted at all, and after talking to them, they will be pacified automatically. Now, the stronger you become, the harder it will be to put bandits into a submission state, to accidentally outright kill the bandits instead of putting them into a bleed out. Once you kill your first merchant or nobleman or whoever and steal their horse, your followers will automatically get horses of their own without delay. Now, to make things much easier, it is highly recommended that you bind a talk/loot key as soon as possible, as well as a fast dismount key. The fast dismount key will allow you to fly off of your horse. The idea behind the horse's inventory is you have saddlebags that you can access by hitting that hotkey. As for the talk loot hotkey, you can use that to speak to your fellow members. Remember to trade with them and upgrade their gear. They are only as effective as the weapons that you give them, and they can die. So you will definitely want to equip them with good armor. Note that a lot of these functions are not compatible with the Requiem overhaul, and this whole mod would likely break. You can tell the follower whether or not they'll be riding all the time. You can tell the follower that they seem to be stuck on their horse and it'll basically unstick them. The point is that there are a lot of options for you. While mounted, if you enter combat, your followers will draw their weapons and attempt to fight in mounted combat. Note that the enemies will always go for you first, allowing you to run circles around them, and then your followers will go in for the kill. When you see an enemy far off, you should immediately sprint toward them by holding the Alt button, which will trample them. In some cases, this is instantly fatal. In others, it will simply knock them down. Now, if they get knocked down and roll off a hill, they will take an exponentially growing amount of damage dependent on the amount of distance they rolled. But pretty much any bandit locations are prime recruiting spots for this character, and the game will get much easier as he gains more followers and equips them. Eventually, he may want to create a bandit camp at a specific location. He will use the "will stay here for a while," at which point the person will dismount, at which point the person will start interacting with their environment. If there's a crafting bench nearby, if there's a chair to sit on, so on and so forth, they will live in that location. And the idea is you can tell them to stay here, then dismiss them, and then you can go recruit other people in their place. They will stay loyal to you regardless, allowing you to build up your own bandit faction. Now, your saddlebags are able to hold basically an unlimited amount of loot. This means that you don't have to worry about transferring it to your followers and vice versa. Only transfer to them stuff that you want them to equip, and for the most part you'll only be accessing your saddlebags right before you go into Whiterun to buy and sell goods. Your goal should be nothing less than the total domination of Skyrim. This is a very for fun build, as in being a hero or a champion for justice simply doesn't mesh with this character's goals and ideals. This character is a very ruthless, black-hearted type of character, and even if you don't need something that's on a potential victim, you should kill them anyway, because you can place the items in your saddlebags for later selling. Your character is not an alchemist or a blacksmith. Repeat, this character is not a crafter. Therefore, this character should not be gathering stuff on their own, but rather selling and buying, basically using the economy of Skyrim's city, Whiterun. And remember that if at any point in time you get separated from your horse, you can go to your magic menu, use your horse whistle power, and no matter where your horse is, it will turn around and come to you. If for any reason your horse is very, very far away, try waiting a few hours and it should appear at your location when you're done waiting. Upon mounting, all new followers that you picked up will once again have their own horses. They will run to the horses if they can, but they will summon them if they have to. As you can see, based on my current party, I have one unique name bandit, a bandit chief, and a bandit mage. This is a very powerful team just starting out, and I will be able to annihilate other bandit camps fairly easily with this kind of firepower, so long as I don't let myself get shot by stray arrows. Now, in order to qualify for building your own Orcish stronghold, you will need to complete the Cursed Tribe first. Then you will have the opportunity to make friends of 5 orcs. Thus, you will have to travel to each orc fortress and basically do a quest for them. Alternatively, you can go ahead and pay certain orcs to come with you and become potential followers, and paying an orc 500 gold will count as helping one of the orcs. Once you've completed the Cursed Tribe and then made friends of 5 orcs, as soon as you've completed all the prerequisites, head to Whiterun and a courier should meet you there. The courier will give you a note saying that you now own the property. While I said this character shouldn't be joining any factions, it's up to you whether or not you want to join the Companions. I believe personally that the Companions are the only faction that really synergizes with this character's, that is, fighting and glory. The others are either too reserved or stealthy or in some way, shape, or form simply unsuitable for the goals of a follower of Malakath. Likewise, all the Daedric quests except for the Cursed Tribe really don't synergize with this guy's will as well, as he is a devoted follower of Malakath. You should, however, upon killing this giant, decide right then and there whether or not you are going to do the Companion's quests. If you want to, then the Beast Blood might suit this character. Now, I've had several people asking me if I was still planning on doing character builds, and the reality is that I am going to continue doing them. However, I've started asking my Patreon subscribers specifically which out of a list of potential builds that I want to do, which ones I should actually do. And from there, I get an idea of the next build or the next 2 builds that I want to do. In this case, the next build will be a Daedric Seducer, followed by a Redguard Pirate. Now, this channel will remain a bag of mixed nuts. We're talking about separate lore videos. My lore series is continuing, as is my gameplay videos, because what do I enjoy more than talking about games? Actually playing them, of course. I will be playing Fallout 4, I will be playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I will be playing Skyrim. Also, look forward to my Ideal Elder Scrolls 5 video coming soon. You heard me right, Ideal Elder Scrolls 5. You see, while everyone else is talking about their Ideal Elder Scrolls 6, I want to just, nitpick Skyrim a little more and talk about how I would have done the game if I were in charge of the design. And I admit, it would be different. Anyway, if it turns out I enjoy making that video, I'll go ahead and do the same thing for New Vegas and Fallout 3, and possibly even Fallout 4. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with Fallout 4. I'm probably going to go ahead and make a video about like the top 10 mods I want people to make. And, that would be pretty cool if some of the, my top wanted mods get made. As for live streams, I've begun multi-streaming, where I stream to YouTube, Twitch, and Hitbox simultaneously. Obviously, it benefits me the most if you guys watch it here on YouTube. That said, support on any of the platforms is a-okay. And I've specifically gone to the multi-streaming method because certain countries are banned from using certain services, such as Germany not being able to watch YouTube live. At the end of the day, I would make content regardless of whether or not I made any money at all. However, the monetization of the platforms does influence how I go about making content. At the end of the day, I'm not loyal to any specific website, but only rather to how much fun I have. And so far, it's been a privilege to be able to share my fun with all of you guys. Follow me and do as I say. You should definitely try to pick up at least one bandit per settlement you go to. Obviously, before you do anything big, like attack any of the main holds, you should go ahead and try to gather up as many minions as you can, at least 4 of them. And 4 plus you makes a good-sized group of 5. You should be able to take on your average town by then. Remember that if you're using the Everybody Respawns mod, it doesn't matter whether or not you kill everybody, because you can come back 20 game days later, assuming you haven't visited that specific town within those 20 days. It takes 20 days of you never visiting there, and then all of a sudden, it'll respawn with all the people again. I highly recommend being in third-person view when you get on a horse. Obviously, you can toggle first to third-person mode using the toggle hotkey that comes with vanilla Skyrim, but I can't stress this enough that third-person is definitely the best way to run around, because you can see around you, to basically get those chops in perfectly. First of all, before we go to the orc who's waiting for a good death, we'll talk to this guy. Alright, so this guy is on his way to Solitude to join the Legion. A united empire is actually bad for this guy. So this guy is going to go ahead and rob him.
We've stopped. What is it?
What we're going to do is we're going to talk to him.
I was born and raised.
Born and raised in nowhere, okay? So, this guy's dead. We hit him once, then we leave him to our minions. Our minions automatically know to attack him. We can literally walk away, and the loot is ours. Not that it's worth anything. I mean, we can take the iron dagger and the iron axe, but we'll leave his clothes behind because they aren't even worth looting. But this old orc who's waiting for a good death, we honor all the orcs who want good deaths because we understand it would not please Malakath if he were to lay down and die. Now, it really helps if you get a tank-type bandit chief, because that really helps. As far as giving old orcs good deaths, you should definitely do that all the time. It pleases Malakath, it pleases the orc, it satisfies this orc's code of honor. Dying to innumerable foes is definitely something that it would definitely be considered a good death. Now, if you notice to stagger enemies with your shockwave, what this is it's part of Imperius. And once you've staggered a certain number of enemies, you gain a new power. Once combat has started, you'll be able to jump, and when you land, that deals damage to everybody and basically stuns them. So, the more enemies you're able to stagger, the more quickly you're able to level up your abilities. Anyway, if you have suggestions for character builds, I obviously pay most attention to Patreon, but you can go ahead and send them to me on my subreddit or on my Facebook. And I'll make sure to have both of those appear here. Now, I do my lore videos in SoundCloud format as well, so you are able to listen to them either on the web or on a mobile device. My newest obsession has been the first-person shooter from Blizzard, known as Overwatch. I put out a video recently called Shut Up and Take My Money, and it'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know about Overwatch if you are so interested. But I do believe that it is the next evolution of Team Fortress. To catch news on what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, do check out my twitter.com/Zarek. I tend to post updates there daily. Now you'll see Stormcloak soldiers here. This is important. They need to die. We go ahead and we assist the Stormcloaks against the Thalmor. So let's go ahead and dismount so that we're more precise. And we'll go ahead and attack the Thalmor first. Ultimately, they all need to die. There's no question about that. Now, I don't know why I got a bounty for attacking the Thalmor, but at the end of the day, okay, so apparently I attacked the Stormcloaks, which prompted this. Either way, all the Thalmor, all the Stormcloaks, they all gotta die. That is the code of this character, more or less, is you attack and kill anyone who gets in your way. And with this level of bandits, all I basically have to do is sit back and watch the fireworks. Although it helps to whittle down each side just a little bit and then go in for the kill. So now neither Thalmor or Stormcloaks will serve you, unlike bandits who their loyalties, you know, to the strongest person. So the idea is you loot absolutely everything they got. Absolutely everything. Then, call your horse to you. Whenever you find a pile of corpses like this, you call your horses to you. Then, you loot all the corpses, and this will place you in an overburdened state or get you damn close to. Once this is done, go up to your horse, hit the saddlebag button as defined in the mod configuration menu. Start putting stuff onto your horse. You can sell this stuff later in town, and then use it to buy potions and gear for your followers and other things. And if you want to make the game a little bit harder for yourself, you can install some enhanced difficulty mods. Just remember that mods like immersive creatures can cause issues with the game, specifically with the dynamic spawning, where it will unspawn one of your followers and spawn something else in its place. Another question I had about this character was, would he be a bloodkin right off the bat? And the answer is yes. He is accepted in all the Orcish strongholds without having to do a quest for them. However, quests will still be available for you to do in each Orcish stronghold. If not quests, then minor tasks such as Brawl the Chief, and so on and so forth. Now when you encounter one of these guys, again, it's better to just slash them once, ride away a little bit, and allow your followers to put an end to them. You will receive a loot upon their death, and congratulations, he's got crap and shit once again. You don't need it. Anyway, this has been Zhakaron with another character build. This one has been a very much outlaw who stays outside of society's norms and actually makes his own society. I like the mechanics founded around this character because it really fosters a different sort of play style. And once you become the enemy of all the holds except for Whiterun, then you really have that sense of danger as town guards start attacking you, and you've got to marshal your allies together to go kill them. To quote Todd Howard, it just works. Now as for this woman here,
I've been hunting and fishing in these parts for years.
hand over your valuables and nobody gets hurt.
Don't hurt me. You win.
That's right, I win. I loot the valuable stuff and leave the crap behind.